to pray. There's no angels where I go, only pieces that are broken, scattered dreams across the floor. I'm home.
Alrighty, hello everybody, this is Kirusho here. Now, whenever we last left off, Midoriya, he was, well, learning the true nature of what a ghoul is. The man who researches them from the CCG said that they were like humans, but they're not. They're monsters, wearing human skin. That's one thing he said about them, along with the weird way their bodies work. Midoriya learning that he's a half ghoul, learning that his mother is a full ghoul and his dad was a human, making him special. But he doesn't feel special. In fact, a lot of other kids are special too. They have weird and unique abilities. And it's all really just odd. In fact, he's not too sure what to say. This being the question he's thinking about in school. He was finally allowed by his mom to go outside. She does let him go to school today, even though it might be considered a bit risky. He was having a little bit of instances where he can't control his kagune. Now, since I am speaking about it right now, someone did ask what type of kagune he had. He has Kaneki's kagune recess. Anyways, now, with that being said, Midoriya, he did gain control over it, or at least stop doing what he had done, where he accidentally forcibly manifest the thing. This actually helping him. His mom has been trying to work on his abilities and make sure that he can keep control over them. However, if he does feel a certain way or feel weird, then he needs to tell her, since that might be a sign that he is about to lose control. Now, with that being said, he is still looking around, watching a lot of other kids his age awaken their quirks. A thought coming across his mind. What is his quirk? From, well, what he knows, all kids have them. Do ghouls have quirks? Can they have them? That's odd. Is that even possible? Really? Midoriya, very unsure. However, he would be snapped out of this whenever everyone does start to talk about one boy's quirk in particular. His name is Katsuki Bakugo. This being very weird. The boy is having fun and is enjoying what he is doing with his explosions. He's always been very odd. He tries to be bossy, but a lot of times he does act weird though. Since he does at least still act shy. It's very peculiar. Either way though, he's begun to get a little bit more bossy since his quirks come in. People tell him that that's going to be a very strong one. Midoriya actually somewhat feeling a bit jealous. Very what his abilities are. As Bakugo does come right up to him, showing off his quirk. Midoriya just saying that that is very cool and very strong. Bakugo just, well, accepting the praise. Not really sure what to do. His ability is very unique. And again, it shouldn't be a surprise. He does have a mixed quirk. Whereas Midoriya is still trying to think about this. He wants to have power. He wants to be strong. But how is he supposed to have that? This being his thought whenever he's in the playground. Now, a lot of other students are having fun, climbing on the jungle gyms, running around, and going through the slides. But Midoriya is sitting on a swing, not really too sure what to do. Now, with that being said, one thing does happen for Midoriya. While he's sitting on his swing, he begins to start swinging back and forth, having a bit of fun. A lot of kids don't really pay attention to him. However, Bakugo does want to talk with him. He does seem very lonely, so why not? Him wanting to talk to Midoriya as he's swinging. This being whenever Bakugo does actually get an idea. He's not sure if it would be funny or not, or, well, a good idea, but it just seems like it would be very humorous at the time. Deciding that he's going to be pushing Midoriya. Midoriya, as he's being pushed, goes higher and higher and higher, until Bakugo pushes him with an explosion. Now, this would cause Midoriya to be sent flying off the swing, and, well, part of his shirt be burned and scorched. Now, Midoriya gets sent flying off of it, flying through the air and smashing into the ground, actually creating a bit of a small hole. Before he actually does at least have a bit of blood pouring from his head. A cut right above his right eye. That being one for Midoriya, he does go a bit more instinctual. His eye immediately turning, and Midoriya immediately feeling that while he just stays looking down, trying not to move, just bringing his hand up and pulling his shirt over his face to cover it, covering his eye and covering the gash on his forehead, or at least right above his eye. Teachers running out and seeing the commotion. Quite a lot of kids did hear and see what happened. Bakugo is being scolded while Midoriya is being taken to the nurse's office. And quite a lot of people are curious as to what's going to happen. Bakugo is going to get in trouble. Bakugo is going to get in trouble. Yeah. Anyways. Now, Midoriya, he's basically refusing to let the nurse look at it, since he doesn't know what to do, and he's very panicky right now. Before he does actually start crying, eventually, the nurse would have to call Inko and explain the situation, her arriving as fast as she can, leaving the cafe and immediately coming to the school, and arriving. Quite a lot of people do see Inko, since she did not change out of her work uniform. Now, with that being said, she is just staring at Midoriya, who's holding his shirt and hiding his face in it, before telling the nurse that she can talk with her son, and to please let them have a private discussion. She wants to hear his side of the story, persuading the nurse to let them talk alone. As soon as that does happen, Inko looks around, looking to see if there are any cameras inside the room, before slowly getting Midoriya to take the shirt and pull it down, so she can see the damage. Now, Midoriya's eye is still ghoulified, her telling him to calm down, and that it's okay. Someone just pulling him close to her and beginning to hum a little bit of a melody. Something she used to sing to him whenever he was a baby. Now, Midoriya would be calmed down, and eventually his eye would turn back to normal. And the gash on his forehead has already begun to heal. Inko trying to think of a good cover story. After hearing that he was pushed off the swings, and he hit the ground pretty hard, it's not too hard to say that he has some sort of, healing quirk. Then again, it should also be durability based. She needs to make up a really, really good one, and a good cover story, along with actually taking him to a doctor and getting it properly diagnosed, or at least a false positive. That's it. Perfect. Her just coming up with the idea. They can say it's an enhancement ability. It enhances his physical body and his healing abilities. Basically, his body can do things faster and stronger than other people, since one day he might show off the strength. Now, with that being said, it wouldn't be too hard to classify this as a weird quirk. Although Bakugo would still have gotten in trouble, along with actually seeing Midoriya, whose shirt is red in the front and does have scorch marks on the back, and having to apologize. Inko then going to the doctor and getting the whole process done. The next day, quite a lot of people asking about Midoriya's quirk. Midoriya trying to explain it. Explaining that doctors think that his quirk is weird. And, very unique. Saying that he might have a durability based quirk along with a healing quirk. It's kind of odd though. The doctors are kind of stumped on it. They're thinking it might be from my grandparents, possibly? I'm not too sure. All I know is it has something to do with my physical body. That being the way Midoriya pronounces it. Saying that he does want to learn more about it though. Now, with that being said, let us cut to later on into the night. Inko is aware that her son is beginning to show off these abilities, and that she needs to teach him the proper way to use them. So, this is going to be getting a lot more difficult. Instead of her getting her food from Deku for the day, and giving it to Midoriya later, she decides that that's going to have to be different. Instead, she wants to take him out hunting and show him how to do things. Since if he does show off one of his abilities by accident or something outside of what they said his quirk was, that's going to be a lot harder to explain. Since it gets a lot closer to being able to classify him as a ghoul. She wants to be very careful with this. And she doesn't want to slip up. This being whenever they do go out. Midoriya being given, a makeshift mask. She did put on a pair of, what are they called? Swim goggles. And basically wrap a shirt over his face. Now, with that being said, that covers his hair, his neck, his forehead, basically his entire head. While she does wear her own mask. Now, with that being said, the two would be going out. Inko carrying Midoriya on her back, using her kagune to keep him on, while he does actually hold on to her. The two are running along the roof. She's running along the rooftop, while Midoriya is keeping focus. being told that he needs to try and listen, try and focus on his hearing, just listening to his mother. Eventually, the two do come upon a scene. There is a man trying to actually hurt someone. He is trying to mug a man and take his wallets. Inko can see this, and while that's happening, the man who's being mugged is at least thinking, this is just beginning to get too easy. So, what should he do next? Should he let the man try and stab him, the knife break, or at least jam, then reveal himself? Or what should he do? Play along a bit more and let him get closer, then rip out his throat. Decisions. Now, with that being said, Inko is paying attention, and in fact, she can hear what's going on, deciding to actually go down. As whenever she does leap, she smashes into the wall and begins to move downwards, actually pulling out some of the concrete on her way down. Quite the man looking up along with the mugger. Before this, Ghoul sees this. Inko turning her face and revealing her eyes, along with at least Midoriya's being seen. Now, Midoriya was told to stuff the shirt underneath the other side of the goggle, so as to hide his human one. Well, his human eye. And currently, this is a three-eyed ghoul as it's going to be nicknamed. The robber going to run for it, while the ghoul thinks that he's in someone else's territory, deciding that he can take off and try and find another meal. It's not going to be too hard, since around this area, a lot of people do try and act tough. There are street gangs, surprisingly. Then again, more unsurprisingly, whenever they do start to wander around, it's easy to say that those kids may have ran away, done something stupid, or just got out of town. When in fact, it can be considered a Ghoul police officer manipulating certain records, keeping things low in one area while at least having the other parts of the city be very, very high in disappearances. Now, with that being said, Inko, she is looking at this man, and he's certainly trying to haul ass down the street. As Inko is jumping on the light post, smashing out the lights, and immediately just trying to fall after the man. Midoriya is watching this. His mom is very, very focused, and you can hear her breathing. She's being very steady about this, very, very, very calm. She doesn't seem nervous as he watches her smash out the next lights. Half the block is dark, and she decides that that will be good enough. Throwing out her kagune and immediately just grabbing the man. It's wrapping around his leg and beginning to pull. The guy is smashing to the ground and trying to use his quirk. His quirk can be best described as claws. He can grow his fingernails, trying to use his ability to dig into the sidewalk, and at least scratch into it, as it is actually beginning to hurt a bit. Him just trying to do this as Inko just begins to pull him. Pulling him upwards into the air, she smashes his body into the wall, and then pulls him up. The man, very confused and shocked at what he sees, watching as the three-eyed ghoul is actually two on closer inspection. Midoriya staring at the man, as he does actually try and scream out and beg for help. Inko covering his mouth with her hands, telling him that he is a very, very bad man. In fact, it's going to be quite simple to explain your disappearance. You aren't a good one either. In fact, how would I make you a deal? You give me the location of your buddies, all of which I'm fairly certain are criminals, and I will let you live. You haven't seen my face either, so I can at least say for certain I can do this for you. The man immediately just snitching out his friends, trying to save his own skin. Inko then turning this into a very informative moment, saying that that was very good, but she also does not appreciate or tolerate liars and people with no loyalty, before smashing the man in the face as hard as she can, cracking his skull and knocking his lights out. As they do at least begin to take him someplace they can dispose of him, or at least what they don't need. Now, Midoriya is still very unsure of what he saw. It's a bit creepy and weird, but the way his mom was acting, it kinda does make sense. As he does see the bag, or at least one of the bags of meat they have. Picking it up, it's still warm. It's weird. Ugh. But at the same time, why does it look so tasty? Now, Inko, who would walk out, would just tell him that it's always going to look like that. She sees that look in his eyes. In fact, he can have some right now, and then he's going to have to go to bed, and then, well, stay home from school again. Since she does actually want to teach him how to use his kagune. You can summon it, right? Or do you still need to work on that? You've done it once in a nightmare, or during a nightmare. Midoriya just looking at this bag, setting it down, then trying to focus. He does feel something bubbling to the surface, right in his lower back. Before at least trying to focus on it more. This weird sensation feels like it's bubbling to the surface. Before it finally does tear through the back of his shirt, and his kagune is revealed. Inko just staring at it as he does actually smash into the wall and begin to start moving around the room. Her immediately just running forwards and smashing it into the ground. The part closest to Midoriya's lower back. Before just saying that that is very good. You did well, Midoriya. Now, like I did say, we're gonna have a midnight snack, and then we're gonna go home. You understand? Her saying that with a smile on her face, as she does need to take off that robe she's wearing. It's covered in blood, and she does need to get rid of the gloves. It's very, very nasty looking. Midoriya just nodding, as he does feel this thing disappear. This weird pain, and then just watching as it just poofs into thin air. Now, Inko will just explain to him that that weird pain is what happens whenever someone cuts it. It will regenerate, but it will take time. Alternatively, eating will bring it back. The more you eat, the stronger you will become. She used to be a very, very fearsome ghoul. And those days stopped after she met his father. She used to do this thing where she would eat every day. Every night she would feast upon 5 to 10 men. Usually. Sometimes if she was lucky, she would find more. More random thugs. Then again, back then she didn't care if they were innocent or guilty. And they were all seen as food. She once even kept her own yearbook to hunt down some of her older friends, along with people that she knows didn't really have a lot of people connected to them, so no one would question their disappearances. Midoriya, hearing about all this, is kinda creeped out. Before they do eventually get home, and it's very late, and Midoriya is very tired, eventually falling asleep. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing night. I'll catch you guys in the next part.